collection rule, collector's budget. Let's talk about it. So, we've talked about this multiple times in multiple videos, but it's never gotten its own video for me just to lay it out and have it 100%. Just an absolute. And I think this is important because I think it affects every single collector. Every single one of them, regardless of what it is that you collect or what it is that you do specifically. Guys, it is important if you are going to get into any kind of hobby like this, that you set a hardcore collector's budget. Now, this can be very hard in some cases. And I'm not going to lie to you. I have a collector's budget rule, and I will explain the benefits and non-benefits to this. My collection rule is 500. What does that mean? It means that I have a card. It is separate from all my other cards. I have an emergency card that I handle my stuff with. I, of course, have my debit card and things of that nature. And I have a card that is put to the side that is only for this stuff. It is a $500 limit. It does not go higher. Once it has the money on there, that is all that I have. In order to guarantee this card, what I do specifically is I get a check. And every time I get a check, I have relatively maybe $100. And I put that $100 onto that card. Then that is my money to do with as I please. I cannot exceed 500 on that card. So even if I put 100 on there, and then I only buy one figure, that one figure is only $25. But it's the only one I wanted this paycheck. I got it, I add it, we're done. The rest of that 75 sits there. And on my next paycheck, I once again put $100 on there. Now I'm up to $175. And at $175, I can either repeat the same idea or buy something really nice. And maybe I go out of my way, and we're going to talk about an older reference price, and I buy something like Tigra, because we just got done talking about her in a couple of videos. And let's say I bought Tigra, and I bought her specifically from Frazetta Icons, and Frazetta Girls, and I used my code, and I got 15% off, so I only paid like $70 for her. Well, that's still a benefit. Technically, I put $100, I spent $70, that puts $30 there, and of course we go up a little more because I'm still doing nothing but gaining. At some point, I'm going to max at $500. Now, this is where the problem comes in. If an item or items go over 500, I'm done. That's it, I'm done. It is very rare, aside from and this, I'm talking, it's very rare. They said, we're releasing Eternia. Eternia will be $550. And I said, crap. What I did in that instance is I put that card to the side. I knew it was coming out and I waited. And I took all of that money and I put it onto my regular card over and over and over again until I got to the $600 basically. And then I spent that. And so I had the other card completely inactive for that whole time. I focused only on this one item. This is a bit of a problem. See, if I want to use that card, and that card is for collections and fun, that card does have a limit. I can't justify a console on it. I can't do it. I use that card specifically for my video games as well. Now, in terms of somebody else who's doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing, this budget idea may have to be modified for you. Maybe you need a $600 or a $700 limit card because you're going to be in video games and at some point you have to buy a console. Okay. When I was setting up my budget, I knew that it would be very rare inside of toys to spend over that money. 500 is my limit. And if I get myself in trouble, if I max that card, I could do a couple of Saturdays, a couple of OT days, and more than likely, I'll be fine. I'll pay it off. I'll survive. It's not enough that I can get in trouble. And if something happens and I honestly cannot pay the card in terms of that big lump sum of 100, I could put the 20 on it here and there and wait it out. And I have more than enough stuff and more than enough other things inside of this hobby aside from buying, and I will be happy. In fact, we did an entire video on this channel specifically talking about that problem too. That sometimes we lose track of what our hobby is and we turn it into buying. That's not a good idea. You want your hobby to be representative of something that actually means something other than I spend money on this. And that video will be in the annotations, of course. You can check it out. But I do talk a lot in that video about hating your own hobby and getting lost in other parts of the hobby, like the parts that we often complain about. Hobbies cost money. But then all things cost money. And while that does suck and we need to definitely pay attention if we're at a point where it seems like we're being taken advantage of, we have to keep ourselves understanding that this is what our hobby is about. This thing. I like the photography aspect. I like posing. I like setting them up. I like to have them in here. I like to be in here. And when I come in here and I play a game and I'm surrounded by all this stuff, it's just a space that does for me. And I think that's important. Well, that is how I keep my spending under control. Now, this does mean that sometimes I bought something big. The last time I bought something, it was pretty big. We talked about it. I had to replace Tigra. And when I did that, I went ahead and I bought a couple of items. And I basically lost about $200. I came in a little under 200. Now that was a lot. And putting 100 on the card or 80 on the card is not going to bring that money back. So if I'm constantly in a deficit, I will reach a point where I have nothing left. And I will miss things like pre-orders and whatnot. It's going to happen. I have had times, and we've talked about it on this channel, where sometimes something comes around and people go, "Are you getting that?" or whatever, or I'll specifically bring it up and I'll say, "I'm skipping this one. I'm taking my chances. Hopefully I see it in the wild." That's true too. And I think that keeping a budget will also teach you to deal with certain parts of your FOMO. Because this entire hobby is built and predicated on FOMO. Like 1,000%. It wants you to buy. In fact, just today, there was a notice they showed off Zabu. And I was like, this was a couple days ago that they showed Zabu. It was like a day ago. But they showed him and said, time to drop a hint to the next figure or whatever. And I'm like, Zabu. Well, I didn't buy that because it's a Build-A-Figure. I wonder, well, there's only like one thing that they're possibly going to release from that because, oh no. And then they showed her. And I was like, crap. Because they're releasing Sheena. Like Savage Lands. Yeah. Yeah, I want to say, is this who I'm thinking of? Shauna. I don't know why I called her Sheena. There's a character that's very close to Shauna. You could almost argue that they're basically stolen off each other. Shauna is the other one. Shauna's the one that I'm thinking of. But when my mind goes to this kind of character, it references Sheena infinitely before it references Shauna, because I kind of see them as the same character, almost interchangeable. But regardless, I knew what I was thinking when I seen it. I thought the only reason they're going to show him is because we're going to get more Savage Land stuff. And if we've already got him and Zabu, we're going to get her, right? Well, they showed pictures of her today. Shauna's coming. And she looks magnificent. Aside from her hair, I worry a little bit. But we're getting her. And now I'm in a spot where I go, crap. Because here comes FOMO. I didn't get the Build-A-Figure because I don't like those figures. None of those figures speak to me. The tiger would have been cool, but that's it. So now they grab you with the FOMO. Do you want to spend all your money? Do you want to run over here and spend all your money and get all that so you can put the tiger together and then you have the tiger, and then when you get... Well, sometimes if you're going to keep a steady budget, you're just going to have to be under the impression that you're going to miss out on certain figures. I'm going to buy Shauna. If at some point I wait long enough, they will, just like Juggernaut, they will, just like Mojo, they will, just like the Blob, they will release that cat by itself. It will happen, or there'll be some sort of pack that gives us all three. It'll happen. Who knows how long? I may have to wait a couple of years to get my hand on the cat. But if I stick to my budget and I stay real about what it is that I'm doing, it'll be fine. I have seen figures leave. When I first got really into Motu, I wanted a She-Ra. And she sold off the shelves like wildfire and she was gone. And then she came back around and was gone again. And I could not nab one. And then her price escalated hard. There were people asking $160 for She-Ra on the basic end, somewhere around $80. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. I will not spend that money. She is not worth it. And I held to my budget. I took my card and I said, this is the money I have to play with. I'm going to focus on the things that are out, the things that I can get, the things that I can do. Someday, She-Ra will come back around. I won't pay that price. And sure enough, I had to wait it out. But She-Ra did come back around. And I paid the $18 that she was worth at the time. Sometimes you will have to play the long game if you want to hold a budget. But this is what I do to keep myself tied into a budget. I have separated that part of my finances into a separate card, and I do not exceed a certain limit, period. It has worked for me. Maybe it will work for you. Maybe you don't have a system yet. Maybe you really are just still in that process of, I got the money. That could get you in trouble. I'm not here to spend your money for you. I'm just here to tell you what I do to keep myself in line. And that's what I do. Guys, take it easy. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.